UFC, the world leader in MMA. Experience it on FS1.
Hola, Mexico. Once again, the UFC Octagon is south of the border in Mexico's capital city to play host to the Ultimate Fighter Latin America finale and a crucial main event in the UFC's lightweight division. Here is your headliner. The former lightweight champion Rafael dos Anjos is looking to bounce back after losing his title in July, but tough season 13 winner Tony El Cucuy Ferguson has plans of his own. He's won 11 of his 12 UFC bouts and looks to make it 9 in a row. The FS1 UFC Fight Night weigh-in show starts now. Tomorrow they fight, tonight they weigh in. Hello everyone and welcome to the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles. I am Karen Bryant alongside a champion and a master bantamweight king Dominic Cruz and the Thug Jitsu master Eve Edwards. We've got Heidi Andral on location in Mexico for us as well. Dominic, you know, it's something we've talked about here in the world famous Avocado Room. Everybody's been talking about it. It's official. You versus Cody Garbrandt at UFC 207.
Yeah, and he's had a lot of foul things to say about me, so that makes it just only natural to go in there and fight him, and I'm looking forward to it. But I can't lie that I'm equally ecstatic to see how Ronda Rousey comes back.
Yes.
She's headlining the card. I'm co-headlining the card against Garbrandt. But more than anything, Garbrandt, 9-0, all knockouts very soon in the first round, second round. He's very good. Ignorance is bliss, and I'm the one who's going to show him how ignorant he is.
He has a lot of nerve calling you out, don't you? Wouldn't you say so?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm sitting next to the champ, and you don't just go around calling out the champ.
Everybody calls out the champ.
Yeah, but that's the way. That's the way to get a beating. So what I'm going to do is I'm going home, get on Ticketmaster, and buy myself some tickets to that fight because I want to see you defend that belt.
Very nice. Going to be a great night in Vegas, but we are going to focus on what's going down in Mexico tomorrow. Great night as well. Tony Ferguson taking on Rafael dos Anjos. Dominic, I want to start with the former champ, dos Anjos. You know, he's kind of done it all. He's been a champion, obviously, but why is he so good?
You know, what makes RDA, also known as dos Anjos, very good is the way that he mixes things up, and he's improved over the years in the UFC. I mean, he started young, and now he's been there so long, he's got tons of experience. He's a black belt from his back on the ground. He's a black belt from the top on the ground. What I mean by that is he's also mixed in his wrestling. So he's on top, he's beating you up with ground and pound. He's on his back, he can submit you, and his striking is vicious as a southpaw.
Well, he does have 33 fights, but listen, Eve Edwards, the man he's taking on, Tony Ferguson, no slouch either, with 25 fights.
Yeah, Tony Ferguson is one of those guys who has this controlled, aggressive style. He's good on the feet. He doesn't really put himself in too many bad positions on his feet where he can get finished. But then when he hits the mat, he loves to create scrambles. He doesn't want you to get established a position. He doesn't want to let you get into a point where you can really do some damage. He's going to create scrambles. I love to see Tony Ferguson fight. This fight with RDA, though, I don't know who's going to... Oh, I'm so pumped for this fight right now.
All right, well, obviously, we will get into it. He is a very creative striker. Dominic, also a creative striker. Charles Oliveira, but there's some controversy. He missed weight by 10 pounds today. He reached 155, was supposed to hit 45, and now he's going to have to weigh in again. He cannot exceed 165 pounds.
Well, when he came in at 21 years old to the UFC, he was fighting at 155. He lost a fight, dropped to 145, and it looks like he might just be too big for the weight class. But don't forget, for this fight, he took it on short notice. He only had 4 weeks to make the weight, which means after his last fight, he probably packed on a bunch of weight. They called him to fight, and he's like, okay, let's do it. But as a pro, you got to know if you're too heavy and you can't make it. He
did go into a great fight with Pettis at the end of August. He will give up 30% of that purse. We are now, though, going to go down to Mexico City. We have got Guillermo Schutz standing by on the mic. Take it away, Guillermo.
¿Cómo están, México? No los escucho, México. Regresa UFC, la mejor liga de artes marciales mixtas en el mundo, a nuestro país. Y estamos listos para nuestra ceremonia de pesaje. Y qué más que con nuestras bellas Octagon Girls. Ahí está Chris y Vanessa Yamilé, por supuesto. El matchmaker de los dioses, Sean Shelby y Joe Carr. Y así nosotros iniciamos dentro de la cartelera preliminar UFC Fight Pass. Enrique Barzola ante Chris Ávila.
Chris Avila learned from some of the best about fight mentality, being a teammate of the Diaz brothers. He started fighting at 17 years old, and that began with his amateur boxing career, and now he's looking to bring his MMA career to new levels.
Chris Ávila, 146 libras en la esquina azul. Y su oponente, el fuerte, Enrique Barzola.
Enrique Barzola is the only non-Mexican winner of the Ultimate Fighter Latin America thus far. The Peruvian won Season 2, and he actually got his start in MMA by watching and studying the sport on YouTube.
...146 libras oficiales para Enrique el Fuerte Barzola. Esta pelea dentro de la división del peso pluma. Y ahí está, damas y caballeros, Barzola, Ávila. Ahora nos trasladamos a la división de los ligeros. Polo el Toro Reyes ante Jason Percy Novelli.
Jason Novelli was born in Anchorage, Alaska, earned his nickname Pepsi from being a Pepsi delivery driver before he started fighting. Now he's moving his camp early in order to acclimate to Mexico City to BMFR Ranch in order to bring his fight career to new elevations.
...156 libras para Percy Novelli. Y su oponente, el toro más rudo de MMA, Toro Reyes.
Polo El Toro Reyes says fighting in the UFC is his dream. And after losing his semifinal match on Tough Latin America, he's been a nightmare for his opponents. Tomorrow, we'll see if he can extend his KO, performance bonus, and unbeaten streak in his third outing inside the octagon.
...156 libras para el Toro Reyes. Reyes, Novelli, face-off. Y ahora, la pelea estelar del UFC Fight Pass, de las preliminares. Sam Alvey ante Alex Nicholson.
Alex Nicholson says he fell in love with the sport as soon as he started getting his butt kicked, which is just a fancy way of saying day one. He started out as a brawler, but now he considers himself a technical fighter, and he'll have to bring that brawler mentality and his technical fight skill to fight a veteran like Sam Alvey.
186 libras. Sin problema alguno para el espartano. Y del otro lado del octágono, en la esquina roja, Sam Alvey.
Sam Alvey makes his fourth octagon appearance in just 5 months. He did some running in LA to deal with the smog and get ready for the air quality here. Then he moved his training camp up to the mountains in Big Bear to train at altitude where he felt very good.
Peso oficial 186 libras sin problema en la báscula. Damas y caballeros, Alvey Nicholson. Y ahora en las preliminares que podrán seguir a través de FS1.
Smiling Sam Alvey, always making it interesting. Welcome back to Los Angeles. You can catch the next 4 bouts on FS1 tomorrow. Up next on the prelims, Henry Briones faces Douglas Silva de Andrade. Dominic, what can you tell us about the 23-1 De Silva?
Well, Douglas De Silva definitely comes in as a prospect. I mean, 18 knockouts, 1 submission, second fight at bantamweight only. So he's dropped down from 45. Now, 10 first-round finishes. Comes from Brazil. Let's see how his weight goes.
Visitando la báscula de Silva, 133 libras.
Somewhat new to the UFC, obviously, but he's not new to the sport.
¡Viva México! Henry Briones.
Back in 2013, Henry Briones flew from his hometown of Tijuana, Mexico to right here in Mexico City to try out for the Ultimate Fighter Latin America. He is thrilled to be fighting on the UFC stage and more excited to be able to fight here in the city that it all began in.
136 libras.
Dominic, the last time we saw Briones, he had a loss to your friend Cody Garbrandt.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, Briones used to brawl with us at Alliance Training Center, and he definitely likes to stand in the pocket and throw some heat. Cody's probably not the guy you want to do that with every time.
Is
that what you're going to do, Chad? You know, I'm going to pick that guy apart and make him look a little bit silly. Should be fun. But we're not about this. We're about Henry Briones and De Silva, and that fight right there is going to be fun to watch. Do not sleep on it. Those guys throw.
Otro viejo conocido de México, Eric Perry Montaño ante Max Payne Griffin.
Max Griffin hopes to keep the quick finishes coming. He has 4 wins in under a minute, including his last KO, a 43-second knockout over David Mitchell, a UFC veteran. He said he likes this matchup against Montano, and it's really going to showcase his skills.
En la báscula, el dolor, the pain, 171 libras.
Fired up.
Y en la esquina roja, el orgullo de Bone Breakers, Eric Perry Montaño.
Eric Montano has had a lot of crowd support in both of his UFC appearances, but I expect that support will be only greater now that he's fighting in the city he calls home. Fighting at home is never easy, though, but when he steps in the octagon in front of his friends and his family, he intends to show us, ¿Quién es más macho?
Nice.
Better Spanish than me, that's for sure.
170 libras.
Spent my formative American years in Texas.
Did you? So you learned. Good for you.
En los welter, México, damas y caballeros, Montaño, Griffin. La siguiente pelea, pactada a las 140 libras. Marco Psycho Beltrán y Joe Soto.
After accepting a title shot against TJ Dillashaw on 1 day's notice, Soto had a rough go at it in the start of his UFC career, but he snapped his losing streak with a 3rd-round submission over Chris Beal. Now we get to see if this David Terrell brown belt can keep that momentum after taking another fight on short notice.
I was at that fight. We were up in Sacramento. It was crazy. Big props to Soto for stepping in.
Yeah, he toughed it out for 5 rounds.
Yes, he did.
Esquina azul, Soto, 140 libras.
Everybody expected him to go down fast and early there against TJ, and he sure did.
Y su
Yeah, no, he showed us
oponente,
something that night.
Orgullo de México, el Psycho, Marco Beltrán.
Marco Beltran says he's dedicating this entire fight weekend to his mother, Anita, who was recently diagnosed with ovarian cancer. He said he gets the fight within him from her. He's going to have a lot of friends and family here to cheer him on in this
139
weekend.
libras para el Psycho.
Ooh, these guys are going to scrap.
Beltrán, Soto, listos.
Cannot wait. That's a fun fight. Seriously.
Yeah.
People look out for
Y
that.
dentro, en la división de los gallos, esquina roja, Eric Goyito Pérez, esquina azul, Felipe Arante Sertanejo.
Felipe Aranchas has definitely shown glimmers of greatness in his career. This particular time he happened to have missed weight. He comes by way of Sao Paulo, Brazil. His nickname, Sertanejo, means backcountry. One of the things that you've got to know about this man is he beat an upcoming contender named John Lineker in 2009, so you know he knows how to deal with power.
Felipe Arantes no logró el peso, 138 libras, el 20% de su bolsa para el mexicano Goyito Pérez. Y su oponente no necesita presentación, el orgullo de Monterrey, Nuevo León.
I love the mask.
Pérez, el Goyito.
Eric Perez, man. This young man has shown consistent improvement in his MMA development, especially since he's joined the guys down there in San Diego at Alliance. This fight, though, is just another opportunity for him to show his growth, and he gets a chance to match his longest win streak in the UFC also.
136 libras, supera la báscula sin problema.
Eric Perez, a good friend of mine, training partner. I cannot wait because he is ready for this fight. He came half his camp with us, and then he went to Mexico City to acclimate, and these guys are talking. And one thing I'll tell you, Perez is up for it. He's not just talking, he's ready to show up.
Cantado está Goyito Sertanejo.
Rocking the lucha leave right now. You gotta love it. Welcome back to the desk. We are ready to weigh in the fighters on the 6-fight main card, which of course you can see on FS1 Saturday night. Starting it off, this is a great fight in the strawweight division. Alexa Grasso versus Heather Jo Clark. Dominic, let's talk about tough 20s Clark.
Yeah, she received KO of the year, Heather Jo Clark, in 2011, so she's got the knockout power. More than anything, though, Team Melendez on Tough 20 was where you really got to know her. You got to know her personality, you got to know what type of fighter she is, and she's really just one of those tough, gritty types of fighters that wants to brawl, that wants to bleed, and that's got to come from her hero, her father, who's also in her corner, who did 2 tours in Vietnam. Got to give a shout out to anybody who's a serviceman.
The Hurricane 116 libras, no hay problema.
Yeah, she's a good friend of Misha Tate's. Misha was in with us on UFC Tonight the other day, so I got to talk about Heather Jo, and she said this is one of the best weight cuts she's ever had. She's just feeling really good, looked on point.
Alexa Grasso used to watch her uncle Francisco Grasso, who was a professional boxer, train and teach, but it wasn't until she actually entered a national jiu-jitsu tournament and took first place that she thought she had potential. She makes her UFC debut here in Mexico City.
116 libras para Alexa Grasso.
You can see Alexa Grasso. You've seen her in Invicta. This woman can scrap, guys. I know it is her UFC debut, but she's got a great skill set already.
Great balance, great striking.
Absolutely, I love watching her strike.
De los ligeros. Beniel Dariush ante Rashid Magomedov.
Rashid Magomedov, man, one of my Russian buddies from American Top Team. I guess I'd call him a brother from American Top Team. But this fight is a perfect opportunity for him to make a big jump in the rankings. Fighting a guy that's ranked ahead of him and a win over a quality opponent like Dariush, that'll just make a big statement. And the more decisive the win, the bigger the statement.
Rashid Magomedov, 156 libras.
We joke, though, but in the UFC, nobody with the last name that ends in "ov" is an easy fight.
All those guys got the Sambo background. They're just so tough.
Beniel Dariush got some advice from Fabricio Verdum in advance of this one. Verdum told him to watch what he ate to make sure he didn't get sick, but also to be ready for the altitude. In order to prepare, Dariush took his training camp up to Mammoth Lakes, California. He said they chose Mammoth because of the clean air and the high altitude.
La báscula dice 156 libras.
This is a fight I'm looking forward to.
Oh, yeah. Well, Beniel is very tight with Rafael dos Anjos. They finished their camps together down in Mexico City. They've been there for about 10 days together. Just a wonderful guy and a great jiu-jitsu
En la división de los ligeros, la final del Ultimate Fighter Latinoamérica. México-Perú, Martín, el Toro Bravo, ante Claudio, el Niño Puelles.
Claudio Puelles comes from Lima, Peru. I mean, that's a long way away, but went and was a competitor with Team Liddell on Tough Latin America 3. He's the second youngest fighter on the UFC roster currently.
Sin problema, el Niño Puelles, 156 libras.
Got that baby face, but long career in fighting can change that.
Absolutely.
De México, el Toro, Martín Bravo.
Martin Bravo is a finalist on the Ultimate Fighter Latin America this season. His coach, Forrest Griffin, told me that he picked him first because he knew he would go all the way. But it wasn't until he actually worked out with him that he knew what an animal he really was.
Un toro de 155 libras.
And in this fight, guys, Bravo is the favorite at a -130 to a +110 for Puelles.
Puelles has the experience on the show, though. That really does help you so much when you're on that Ultimate Fighter show. And even though Bravo's got the heads up, that does help your confidence, especially when you're as young as Puelles. You're just so ready to go when you're that young.
A la división de los Plumas. Ricardo Gapuli Lamas y Charles Oliveira.
Charles Oliveira did miss weight for this particular matchup, but that doesn't make him any less threatening, that's for sure. He started fighting straight out of high school. He trains under his hero and former UFC Pride veteran, Jorge Macau Patino.
No dio el peso, 155 libras. Estará sacrificando el 30%
So as you can see, folks, earlier today, he did try to use the towel, but it was a 10-pound weight difference there. So I don't know if the towel would have really helped too much, but I just aim for effort.
We don't know the size of his underwear, though.
Well, he had to be within 10 pounds
Right,
of the allotted, or 20 pounds of the allotted weight, so he couldn't be over 65 tonight. So that should make it a little bit more even with this matchup with Lamas.
Yeah. Lamas has wins over some of the elite guys of the featherweight division, KOs, submissions, and decisions over those guys. So he shows a lot of skill and creativity. His conditioning is always on par. So he'll have to bring all of those tools to keep from making any mistakes against Bill Bronx, you know. I'm looking forward to this fight. I hope the weight advantage or not making the weight isn't too much trouble for doesn't present too many problems for Lamas in this fight. I really want to see a good fight between these two guys.
I think the elevation is going to have more to do with this whole fight than anything. I mean, that is exhausting to fight at that kind of elevation. We'll see who has better cardio on that one.
UFC Fight Night Ciudad de México. En los ligeros, Diego the Nightmare Sanchez y Marcin Held.
Marcin Held. This guy is a quality grappler who's fought some of the most dangerous guys outside of the UFC. But Diego Sanchez, in your first UFC bout, that's a real test. So we're going to get a real idea of what he's bringing into the UFC's lightweight division.
Yeah, he's got a kind of a brawler style to him, which is exactly what you want to see face Diego Sanchez in Mexico City, let me tell you.
I remember when Diego was fighting Gilbert Melendez, and even Gil said, you put two of us, it's like cats in a bag. And that's exactly what that fight was. It was fantastic.
You can't forget how dangerous his leg lock game is, too.
And Diego Sanchez always brings it because of his experience as part of it. I mean, he's been in this sport since The Ultimate Fighter Season 1. He was on there at 185 pounds, and now he's all the way down to 100, and I don't know. Let's see what he weighs right now. Let's get his weight. There it is. Who knows what he weighs now? But this fight is going to be explosive. Diego Sanchez came into Alliance MMA one time and sparred with us, and he is intense, to say the least.
That's an understatement, intensity from Diego Sanchez. Before we weigh in Dos Anjos and Ferguson, we're going to take a closer look at both fighters in our headliner.
I'm so hungry, man. I've been training so hard. I will get this title back. I will be champion again and prove it once again that I'm the best in the world.
This is the greatest opportunity that's ever been presented to me by the UFC. This is the ex-champ. This is my road to gold, and I am the future champ. This fight, you're gonna see the real true warrior come out.
Tony Ferguson has been on a tear. He has shown time and time again that he has knockout power.
Oh, my goodness! Tony Ferguson by knockout!
Fantastic submission ability.
Race is done. He's done.
It's all over!
He's absolutely one of the best lightweight fighters on the planet, and on the short list of guys who will one day soon fight for the title. That is, if he can get past the former champion, Rafael Dos Anjos, and that is a big if. If you look at what Dos Anjos did to Nate Diaz, destroyed him with leg kicks. If you look at the way he took the title from Pettis.
Amazing performance by Rafael Dos Anjos.
If you look at the way he defended the title against Cowboy Cerrone by first-round knockout.
It is all over!
He is a dangerous world-class mixed martial arts fighter.
I think he have no idea what he's in for. I'm just a better fighter. I'm stronger, and you know, I have more skills.
I'm gonna make the guy quit. I'm looking for that flawless victory. He's had his time. This is my time now.
Hard work pays off. It's my time, and I'm ready to be back on the top.
I'm way more dangerous than Dos Anjos on all levels. I got tricks up my sleeve you've never seen, amigo. RDA is going down.
Well, Well, if that didn't get you fired up, I don't know what will. Rafael dos Anjos and Tony Ferguson, two fantastic fighters thrown down in our main event. Let's go back to Mexico City to watch these two gentlemen weigh in.
5 rounds.
Tony Ferguson is currently riding an H-fight win streak and is one of the lightweight division's most prolific finishers. If he can finish the former champion in RDA, he'll claim a stake at the title shot. I don't know about Tony Ferguson in that title fight. That will be crazy. I would love to see him in there.
RDA is quite a test to see how ready he is, and that's for sure.
That's a huge test.
Yeah, I mean, there's no better test than the former lightweight champion in RDA, who seems to be walking out right now. 20 UFC fights of experience he carries into this fight. Fights out of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And he's hungry to win. I mean, you got to imagine, being a former champ and coming off a loss, he's going to be as sharp as ever in this matchup.
La báscula dice 156 libras. Cerrada la pelea estelar. Dos Anjos.
Yeah, this is a huge test for Tony Ferguson. And, I mean, winning this fight by decision, or especially if he can finish the former champ again, man, I don't know I don't know how you deny him a title shot.
Y ahora con el Cucuy Tony Ferguson. 9 victorias consecutivas, las que están en el panorama. Y si derrotas al ex campeón del UFC, Rafael dos Anjos, un título te espera.
9 consecutive fights, and you have won all of them, and one more for your title that awaits you.
Yo estoy listo. Me voy a luchar con todo mi corazón. Para este fin de semana me voy a terminar a 10.
Ahí está Tony Ferguson. He's ready. He's ready for the fight. That's the only thing he has to say. Practically, he wants that championship. Tony Ferguson. Y del otro lado del octágono, un histórico. En México empieza, Rafael, el camino a recuperar el cinturón que sin duda sabes es tuyo.
In Mexico, the time has come for you to recover the belt that you lost.
Eu tenho que falar que o cinturão vai voltar para o verdadeiro campeão.
The belt is here for the true winner.
Así que ahí está Rafael dos Anjos, mucho éxito, todo listo, cerrado, desde la Arena Ciudad de México. Los esperamos a través
Muchas
de
gracias, Guillermo. Thank you very much. Welcome back to the West Coast. Guys, obviously the big news was Charles Oliveira missing weight by quite a big...
The UFC returns to Mexico City. Come and feel the thrill live with hard-hitting Fight Night main card event featuring Rafael dos Anjos versus Tony Ferguson, plus the UFC debut of Alexa Grasso and the Ultimate Fighter Latin American Season 3 finale. It's an event that you can't miss. Tickets on sale now on superboleros.com.
This is the biggest card we've ever done. 3 title fights.
In the tradition of the great championship bout here at Madison Square Garden.
It's so surreal to be fighting at the very first show at Madison Square Garden.
MSG is where all the top performers perform at.
On the Big Apple, here at Madison Square Garden.